Should I turn the arrow with that?
Yeah, or look down. I guess it's either on or off, right?
No, I mean, because you can put it on like 3 Celsius, 24 degrees Celsius, and
That's super cold.
yeah, it's like low 70s. Then you get some nice air that's not unbearable.
I don't know if I'll be able to take the class. I can't even open up the chairs.
Yeah,
These chairs are a nightmare. I tried for Sunday school and it's like, oh, get up. What'd you do?
because you're gonna pull out underneath.
From underneath?
Yeah, it's gotta come out a little bit, and then
Oh, okay.
come out. And then
See, I already learned something today.
we see all this stuff though with this. We're pointing this stuff on the screen, but you can see the screen.
No, you're lying.
All right, everybody, welcome. Welcome to Calvary Chapel School of Discipleship. Welcome to our orientation. If you're a new student, we're excited to have you guys here, and we're excited for the journey that you're going to go on, because we know that for some people, this is just the beginning. You're going to be being trained, you're going to be learning, you're going to be studying, hopefully growing way deeper in your relationship with God, and then through that, being able to serve more and hopefully more effectively. That's our hope. We want to train people for the ministry, right? So I know for some of you, you're returning students, and so you kind of have a feel of what's going on, experienced everything already. But either way, we want to go through some of the basics of what's going on here with our school. We know that we now have a very clear site, which is CCSOD, which is Calvary Chapel School of Discipleship Online, CCSOD online.com. And so this is going to be the site that's going to get you all the resources that you need. So you need to mark that, ccsodonline.com. Okay. So you guys can see that right here. Hopefully you guys can see that on the video. But what we're doing is we got everything going on the site. And so this is going to have all of your classes. It's going to have all of your syllabi. It's going to have all of the books. It's going to have everything on there. If you want to come and take the classes in person, obviously, we encourage people to do that, because learning, I feel, is better in person when you can interact with teachers, you can ask questions. I think it's very important that we do that. But there are some people who just can't do that. That's totally great. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it as easy as we can to train people in the ministry. And so everything will be going from here live and then going on to ccsodonline.com. Okay? So what we've done is we have certain requirements that you guys can see on the website that are for our full-time students. Okay? Full-time students are those who are they're taking a full load. So that means it's going to be 12 credits for the primary classes. And then we're going to have other requirements that go along with that for the full-time students. Okay. So, for example, full-time students will be required to do class M199, right, which is practical ministry. What does that mean? That means that you are serving in your church in some way, shape, or capacity, right, regularly. So you need to find a ministry, if you're not already serving, to get involved with so that you can be there every week and start serving and helping out in that way. Now, last semester was rather easy for this because everyone was already serving. So we were just, hey guys, keep serving, keep doing your thing. But for people who are not serving, we are going to require you to be in some capacity serving in your church. So it doesn't matter if you're here at Calvary Chapel San Clemente, or if you're in another church, that's totally fine. What we want is you to be serving your local church, okay? Serving your local church. So that's one of the requirements for full-time students. Now, obviously, we want to encourage all students to be doing that, but especially those who are full-time students, right? Also, we're going to have Old Testament and New Testament, or as it is on here, New Testament and Old Testament survey. What that is, that's basically we're going through the Bible with Pastor Chuck Smith. And if you guys haven't done that, it's amazing. It really is. It's a lot of sermons, it's a lot of messages, a lot of listening, but it's well worth it. What we ask is that you would take a page, or is it 2 pages?
Either one.
I think it's 1 page of notes for each message to show that you were actually doing it. And so basically what you're going to do is you're going to go online, you're going to listen to the thing, you're going to write your notes, and then go to the next sermon. You're going to mark each sermon so that we can follow it along. We're going to actually ask you to upload those onto your student page, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then we can all see the progress that you're making. But this is part of the full-time students. Full-time students are going Old Testament and New Testament. Now, it's not all in one semester. So the idea is that you would do the Old Testament in 2 semesters, and then you would do the New Testament in 2 semesters as well. So it'd be 4 semesters total. Okay, so you're doing it, we're trying to break it up. It is, I forget how many sermons it is, but it's like 320 something sermons, something like that. So it is a lot. So what you want to do is you want to, take it chunks at a time. You want to listen to a certain number per week. You want to try to map that out. And we can help you guys to do that, to make a plan, because otherwise you will get overwhelmed by the amount of sermons that you need to listen to. And wait, I still got 50 sermons left. It's the last week. You're not going to get it done. Okay, so you gotta map it out and make it happen. And then, of course, one of the other things that we require for our full-time students is M180, which is church attendance. You need to be at church, right? You need to be part of the local body. Again, it doesn't have to be at Calvary Chapel San Clemente. Whatever church that you guys are a part of, if you're at another church, another part of the country, or in the same part, but just at a different church, that's fine. We want to see everyone building up the local body of Christ. If you are at your church, you go to your church and you serve at your church. So these should be, in theory, gimmies, right? These should be things that are slam dunks. They're easy to get. Like you just basically, you go to church and you serve and you get credit for that. Okay, and that's part of it. You should be doing that already. If you're not, you start doing it, and it should be very, very simple. Okay, and it doesn't have to be serving on Sunday. Just make sure that's clear. Serving on Sunday is fantastic. A lot of opportunities for that, but sometimes there's another ministry that's going on something in the midweek. So we want to encourage you guys to be serving in some capacity. So think about that. These are our requirements for full-time students. Okay, full-time students. Okay, now part-time students is a whole other issue. We still are going to encourage you to be doing practical ministry, serving in some capacity, and church attendance. But you are free to come in and take as many classes as you would like. So say, hey, I just want to take 1 class this semester. No problem. We would love to have that. Some people, their schedule just does not permit, and we understand that. We have some people who have lots of kids, and they just can't take that many days away from their kids. It's impossible, and that's fully understandable. One of the things that we are doing at Calvary Chapel School of Discipleship is we're reaching a slightly different demographic than some of the other schools. Many schools, they're trying to reach the young people, which is fantastic, and we want to reach young people as well. But they're going more for college-age kids. So they're getting kids that are typically from 18 to 22, something like that. We understand that there are other people who are not in that demographic, that are not 18 to 22, and yet for the ministry. Even people who are retired, and yet they still want to learn and be trained for the ministry to better serve the Lord. And so we're trying to accommodate those people. Now, we understand that those people are working sometimes full-time, and then they don't have the opportunity to go to class every single day. That's a lot. It's a big commitment. So maybe they can just do 1 class or 2 classes, or maybe even 3 classes. And so they can come in, they can find the nights that they're free or the afternoons they're free and come and participate in those, depending upon their schedule. So this is the great thing. We're trying to create something at Calvary Chapel School of Discipleship that gives you guys the flexibility that fits your schedule. That fits your schedule so that we can do whatever best suits you and your family. Okay. And the great thing is, I think, if you miss a class, all these classes are being recorded. We put everything online. Everything goes onto the website. You sign into your student page, which again, we're going to talk about just a little bit. You sign into your student page, and then you have access to all the messages. So it's like, oh, I missed the 5th week of classes. Oh, no problem. It's there. You just go through and you watch it. You come back in the next week for the 6th week, and you're right on pace with everybody else. Okay, so that's a very cool thing. I know for some of us who are maybe a little bit older, and we went to college in person, and we didn't have online classes, and we missed a class. It's like, man, you're scrambling to try to find somebody that you trust. That, hey, can I borrow your notes? Can I copy your notes? So and make it seem like you're not cheating or doing something like that. But you want to make sure that you get what you missed. Otherwise, you've missed out on that. Well, here we don't have that problem, right? So that's one of the cool things about our school. That's one of the things I love. Okay. Okay. So I want to also talk about non-credit classes. So we do have the option for you guys to audit classes. Okay. Auditing means that you're going to take it for no credit. Okay. You're going to go through, you're going to learn, you can do the homework, you can study for the test. I think one of the best ways to learn is to study for a test. It's really important. But you're not going to get a grade at the end. It's just either you complete it or not. And this is just for personal development, right? Personal development. Now, if you want to get credit and you want to be able to use this for something in the future, well, then you have to actually take it for credit. And so non-credit, we say, okay, we got classwork and we have homework. You're not required to do the homework. I still think it's important to do the homework because it helps you, because that's how you're going to put the things you're learning into practice. But you're not required to do that because you're not taking it for full credit, right? You're not taking it for credit at all. But for those of you who are taking for credit, then we require everything. It becomes a college level class that is transferable to other universities, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And it makes it something that is a little more intense, right? A little more intense, okay? So think about that. We do have a certain amount of hours of work, of homework, and a study that will be required. It's not just read, sit, come in, listen, and then take a final exam and you're done. That's not how it works. We actually have book reports, we have assignments, we have projects, we have all sorts of things. So it is a college level class. That's what we want to emphasize. Okay. Now, one of the things too that's up here, we talked about the book reports. The books that we're requiring are in the syllabus. The syllabus is on your student page. So when you go onto your website and you sign in because you've registered for classes, you get in there and you look up your class, there will be a syllabus. You click on the syllabus, it opens up and it gives you all the requirements of the class. It talks about the assignments that we're going to have, the dates of the final, the midterm, if you have a midterm or whatever. It gives you everything. Okay, and it'll give you the books that you're required to read and to write book reports on. Okay, so every class is going to have some sort of book report. Some of them have 2 or 3 book reports, depending on class. But you got to make sure you can find that. You've got to sign in at the beginning so that you're not falling behind on the reading. Right, very, very important. One of the things that we are doing with the book reports is we're trying to get books that are going to help you grow spiritually, help you understand the topic of the class, and then as you go through the semester, you can read along. And the book reports are usually due at the end of the semester, so you're not like, oh my gosh, the first week I've got to write a book report. No, you got time, but you got to start planning this out. Again, this is kind of time management training. We're trying to get you guys who are less organized to be organized, so that you can do all the things in the course of the semester and finish everything. It's pretty cool. And one of the cool things is a lot of these books you can find online nowadays. Some of them you can even find on YouTube. They actually have audio versions. So you don't have to go on out like, gosh, I don't have money for this. I'm spending a fortune on books. We have some of the books here you guys can borrow from us if you're here at Calvary Chapel San Clemente. Or you can go online. I found certain sites have them for free in PDF. And then certain books, especially classics, tend to be on YouTube, an audio version, which I find to be fantastic, because then you can actually speed up the velocity that they read at, and you can get through the book a lot faster. I always struggled when I was younger. I was a very slow reader. And so I was like, oh, book report takes so long. Well, now on audiobooks, you just cruise right through. You put it on 2 times the normal speed, start writing notes, start listening, and your brain gets used to it very quickly. It's kind of cool thing. Okay, so anyway, this is in, if you're taking credit, even if you're not taking credit, it's still in the syllabus when you sign in so that you can go and you can be a part of that. At this point, I'm going to introduce Pastor Hollins, and allow him to go through some of the other requirements that are going on and talk a little bit more about our website. I think this is something very important that we all understand, because the website is the key to everything, right? So we're doing it online, so you've got to be able to get into the website to access all the information, right? So Pastor Hollins, come on up.
Okay. So I'm gonna get my glasses so I can see. Forgot to get my glasses. There we go. And I'm going to talk about the website. Now, a lot of the information that Tom just went over is all online. Our requirements, our tuition requirements, our on-demand learning, suggested reading is just a big list of books that if you're building a library, we suggest that. Our fall calendar, if you want to know what the dates are for the semester, we have those here. How did you make it bigger? Oh, I know. So registration has already begun. Orientation classes begin next Monday. Then we have our holidays, Labor Day, Thanksgiving week, and then the last day of class and final exams. Also our class schedule. So if you want to know what days of the week certain classes are, so bibliology is going to be on Sundays from 3 to 6. On Mondays, 6 to 9 is leadership development. Tuesdays, 6 to 9 is Galatians and Ephesians with Eric Tribble from Calvary Chapel Crossroads. And then Wednesdays from 6 to 9 is self-confrontation with Joe Dyer. And then the independent study classes that Tom spoke about that are for the full-time students. Old Testament survey, we're doing Old Testament 302 this semester, which is the second half of the Old Testament, practical ministry and church attendance. And so all of that's on our website if you want to go over there. And then if you want to register for a class still, you can register online. Just clicking our registration tab, and then here's all of the classes. There's a full-time student, and then the individual classes are all available. Now, we have classes that are in person. It's a hybrid learning is what we're doing. And so we have classes that are in person. And this semester, the in-person classes are the ones that are listed down here with our class schedule: bibliology, Galatians, Ephesians, leadership, and self-confrontation. All the other classes are still available. And so if you wanted to go back and take other classes like John or Romans or inductive Bible study, that's all online and available to be taken there as well. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go to the login. And every student will receive your own student login. And basically, once you've logged in, then you can click on the My Classes tab, which is up here at the top. And let's see here. Oh, I went too big. The My Classes tab here. And when you click that, it's going to basically take you to your classes. It's your profile page, and I have all the classes enlisted because I'm working on a website, but this will actually just have the classes you're enrolled in as whatever you're in. If you're a full-time student, you'll have all the additional classes, M199, M180, and 301, Old Testament 301, in addition to the 4 classes that are being offered this semester. And you'll have access to whatever's available that semester. And then if you're just taking one or 2 classes, then all you'll see is those 1 or 2 classes here. Now, let me go back and look at one of the classes we did last time, the book of John. Because I think the book of John is complete, right? Yeah. So this is what it looks like. And basically, here's your syllabus right up front, the course description, the objectives of what it is, the course requirements, homework requirements, and how it's going to be graded. And then below that is the actual course content. And so, for instance, the semester is 15 weeks of classes. John was taught in 2 lessons, basically 2 hour-and-a-half lessons. Some of the classes will show 3 lessons, and it will be, 3 one-hour lessons. But this was done in 2 lessons. And so when you click on that, you'll go to that particular class, and it'll show you the content. You got John session 1, John session 2. You click on John session 1, now it takes you to the video. Now, the only way that you can see the videos if you have the password, and the only way you're going to get the password is if you're enrolled in the class. And so it's right down here on the bottom. This one happens to be Matthew 10:8. So if you click that in, all of a sudden the video comes up, and then you can watch it. And so if there's an assignment, it'll say upload assignment. And in this case, it would be notes from the class. So basically, if you took, it's to let the teacher know that you actually watched the video. If you're taking it online, and then so you would, pick your class, your notes, and hit upload. And then once you do that, it'll let you go to the next lesson. And then you go to the next lesson, John chapter 2, of John 2, same thing, there's the password, assignment, and then once you finish that, then it will let you basically go then to the next week, and you can keep doing that in progression until you get through all the classes. And then once you get through all the classes, it will give you a certificate for that class. Also in the class, there will be the tests that you need to take, and those will show up in the class as well. For instance, let's see here in John, I believe there is a final midterm paper that you can upload. There's a book report, and then did you do a final also? You did. So I'll have to add that in. We'll add the final to that. The book report for the book of John was Living Water by Chuck Smith. Now, when you go to discover what the books are, if you go here to materials right next to it, that'll tell you what book is required for that. So like for the John class, it was Living Water, the Power of the Holy Spirit. So there were going to be lectures that you would take notes for, and then you have the midterm, you have a final, and then you have this book report, and that's what's required for this class. And then it will issue you a grade. Now, keep in mind, even on the online classes, there's interaction. There's a teacher that's going to be making sure you're getting your questions answered and that sort of thing. For things this year, it's not every, we're going to be going through it. As we go through it, it'll be the same thing. You'll see the video available. And so here, this is the bibliology. This is his course description, his syllabus for that. And then up here is materials. I don't think I put materials in here yet. And then here's his, these are just the classes, sorry. Let me click on one of them. So Galatians and Ephesians, they're Tribble's class. Here's his syllabus for that class. And up here are materials that you need to get. He's got 2 required texts and 2 recommended texts that you can purchase. And then you have the course content, week 1, week 2, and that will be published weekly as we do it. It'll actually happen in real time. And so if you're watching online, you can watch the class in real time with the other students. And some of you are, I think, are enrolled in the leadership class, and there's same thing there. There's leadership development. Oh, there we go. And then we have the materials for that. This is the wrong. It says Eric Tribble's thing. Okay, I gotta change that. Okay. But this has the weekly classes. This is an updated. This is not the updated one. So anyhow, when you by tonight you'll go to this and it'll show the materials that are required and everything else. So same thing with self-confrontation and all the other classes that are here. Oh, it's stuck updating. So anyhow, any questions on any of that stuff?
If you're just auditing a class, how do you access the materials and videos and stuff? Because that's the register for it when you decide. And the only thing I've seen is when you get the credit.
Well, how we have it set up is that there is a non-credit fee, a cost, which is an auditing cost, and then there's the full-time student. So we're basically, for those that are kind of wanting to pursue an education, they're going to sign up as a full-time student. For those that are wanting to just kind of take 1 or 2 classes, it's going to be really, it's really doubtful that they're on a track for a college degree. And so pretty much all of those are, so we have 2 options right now. You basically either are auditing or you're a full-time student. And so that just kind of limits it so that for those that are thinking like, oh, I don't think I'm a full-time student, then they can take the class anyhow. Does that answer your question? Yeah. And so then every person will get, every student will get a login. You'll get emailed to you, and then you can change your password when you get it and be able to sign up for that. So, any other questions?
So if you take like 1 class now and then later on realize you would like to take more classes, do they count towards credits at all? Or does it have to be full-time from the very get-go?
Well, currently, we haven't had that situation really happen yet. Most people that have taken single classes have just been auditing classes. And so we haven't really had it occur where they're actually saying, we want to go back and take it for college credit. Because even if you're auditing a class, or let's say you're taking a class that's not for credit, even, Tom said, you don't have to do the homework, but if you want the credit, then you need to do all of the work and you'll get a grade, and that grade still stands,
Because I would do that anyway, so I just was wondering if I'd be able to get credits for that, a credit for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would get a grade if I opted for that?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. But you have to let us know,
Okay.
because what we did last time is because a lot of the folks didn't get a grade, or they didn't do the homework, is we just either made it that they completed the class or they didn't complete the class. And then that way, that lets us know how to grade, that student. If they're just doing it for completion or non-completion. Some of the people completed classes, some didn't complete the classes. And they can go back and complete the classes. If they want to go back and get a grade, so they have to go back and do all the Oh, yes. Graduation requirements. Now, in order to graduate, on the website, there is a place where it talks about graduation requirements. And we have actually a worksheet. I'll just go ahead and download this worksheet real quick. And the worksheet is kind of lists what the requirements are for the student. There are core classes. The core classes include like the Old Testament survey, M199, M180, which are the three kind of, given classes. But then there's 18 credits of Bible classes that are required: Genesis, John, the book of Acts, Romans, and Revelation. And then there are a minimum of 3 credits in our theology classes, which is bibliology. So that's one of our required classes. And then there are 6 credits that need to be completed in our ministry training classes, which is self-confrontation is one of them, and inductive Bible study is the other one. Then we offer what are called elective courses. And the elective courses, emphasis courses. And the emphasis courses are basically, let me download this so I can get it. The emphasis classes are in 3 areas. We're offering an emphasis in leadership and administration, in biblical studies, and also in worship. And then eventually we'll have an emphasis in nouthetic or biblical counseling. And so, let's see here. There we go. So this kind of gives you an idea of the classes that we're offering. So under our core requirements, it's 41 credits. There's 4 semesters of Old Testament, New Testament surveys, 4 semesters of practical Christian ministry, 4 semesters of church attendance, and let me just say, if you're called to the church in full-time ministry, then you're going to build a church. It's so weird that you have to say that, but there's so many people that I've talked that have over the years have been involved in ministry, and they don't go to church, and yet they want to be in ministry. You got to be in church, and you got to be serving, if you're going to be in ministry. But also, there is in ministry training, inductive Bible study. There's 2 semesters of self-confrontation. And then there's also evangelism, short-term missions or evangelism that you're required to participate in. Then there are the Bible classes that I mentioned, the theology classes. There are 2 of them, bibliology and Calvary distinctives. And then we have the emphasis, and the emphasis is worship, biblical studies, Christian leadership. Under worship, we're going to cover songwriting, worship ministry administration, how to administrate a media ministry. We'll have a practicum, which is not something that can be done online. It has to be in person. Then we also have a theology of worship. Then we have under biblical studies, we're going to get into Greek, and with that, learning how to use some of the language tools that are out there available. Preaching, church history, apologetics, and eschatology. Those are additional classes. And then under Christian leadership and administration, we'll be getting into pastoral care and practical ministry, things, how to do weddings, funerals, that sort of thing. Leadership development, pioneering works for God, which is kind of a class on how to launch new ministries, which includes launching a church, if you want to launch a church. In fact, this curriculum, I was told, was being used by the Foursquare church. It's a curriculum that I wrote, and they liked it, so they're using it to train their church planners. Also, church administration, kind of the issues of church administration that have to do with, what I call the dull and boring stuff, getting incorporated, getting, your books set up, accounting, all that stuff. and then also preaching. And so, and then there's elective classes, because along with that, you have to have 12 units of electives. And some of the ones we have listed were like Isaiah, Hebrews, Ecclesiastes, Daniel's, missions and church planting. And so there's, which is basically church planting with the missions kind of focus. And so in order to graduate, you just have to complete the requirements, and then you get a 2-year certificate. Now, we have an articulation agreement with Horizon University and with Calvary Chapel University. So our classes are transferable to them. Also, we have an articulation agreement with Calvary Chapel Golden Springs. And with that, they have agreements with Biola and Multnomah University. So there's, depending on what you want to do, there are possibilities there. Our vision and our intent is not necessarily to make college students. Our vision and intent is to train people for ministry and for discipleship. But we wanted to do it in a way that was, if someone wanted to pursue further education, they could do that. And so our classes are meeting the requirements that we've been given to be able to do that. So, anything else I should cover? You got the websites. Now there was a lot of questions on the website last time, but is everybody used to that now? Yes, you just have to get used to it. All right. Well, if there's, let me just say this in terms of accreditation, because that is a question. Are we accredited? I've been asked. And we are not accredited by the state. What accreditation means is basically a school is accredited when it's been investigated by an accredited organization, an agency that gives accreditation, and that institution is found worthy of being approved to give accreditation. But as a ministry of Calvary Chapel San Clemente, the School of Discipleship is an independent, religious, exempt institution under the law, and we're qualified to grant degrees. So we're qualified to grant degrees in theology and biblical studies, but they're not necessarily accredited degrees. And so the accreditation is something that has to be done by an organization that does that sort of thing. And the 3 reasons why we are not going down that road at this time is that, first of all, our goal is that we're a school of discipleship. And so our goal is to train people for ministry. The second reason is that in order to, if you go down the path of accreditation, then you have to limit your teachers. You can only have teachers that have certain level, like they have to have masters or PhDs, that sort of thing, to be able to teach in a college level class. And what we want to do is we want people to be trained for ministry by people who are experienced in their field. And so we have pastors that are teaching the classes, and we have lay leaders. Joe Dyer has been teaching self-confrontation for 20 years, 30 years, and I don't know anybody better qualified to teach self-confrontation than Joe Dyer. And so he would not fit under the accredited rulings, but he is an expert in his field. And so he may not have a formal academic degree that would be required by an accrediting organization, but he has spiritual wisdom, and all the pastors that are teaching have a tremendous amount of spiritual wisdom and Bible knowledge. The other thing is that if we were accredited, it would quadruple our costs. because the average college level class is $500 a unit, and we are like 60. So it's a big difference in cost, because we want to keep our costs low. We want to make it available to as many people as we can, and so the thing that I tell people is what you should be concerned about is the quality of the education that you're getting, and all I can tell you is when I was at School of Ministry. One of the students went through the School of Ministry there, went on to go to Dallas Theological Seminary in their doctorate program. And when he was just starting out as an undergrad, and he began to, he took a class in Greek, and he just started, basically doing the work. He aced it. I mean, he aced all of the work. And so they pulled him aside. They said, "Where did you get your training?" He goes, "The stuff you're doing is what we teach people on a doctorate level. You're getting stuff on a doctorate level. We don't teach our undergrad students that." He goes, "Well, I went to Calvary Chapel, Costa Mesa School of Ministry." And so, and so they basically gave him credits because of the education he received at Calvary Chapel. Well, this is the same level of education as what we're giving here at the School of Discipleship. And so even though we say our goal is discipleship, and we're not trying to make college degrees, the quality of education is way higher than what most undergrads get and most master's students. In fact, I've taught in doctorate level classes, and just teaching what I thought were the basics, which was beyond the class. They hadn't learned it yet. And so the level of quality in education is really, really high here. And that's why I'm really excited about what we're doing. The class that Tom taught on inductive Bible studies, incredible, unbelievable. And the depth of the information that was in there, you just don't get that level of information in other places. And so, so it definitely is something I'm excited about, just the quality of it. All right, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, guys. So again, we're super excited to have all you guys with us this semester, and hopefully in future semesters as well. And I think, change something.
It's all right. Yeah, there you go.
I think, like, again, I want to emphasize too, like what Hollin was saying, like we're trying to make this something different. A typical Bible college goes through the Bible, which is very good. That's what I did. But it doesn't prepare you for the ministry. It prepares you to know the Bible, which is a lot of ministry, but it's not everything. And so, I got into the ministry and felt in certain areas ill-equipped to do certain things. And I thought, man, why didn't they train me in this? Why did they teach me about that? And so we tried to come up with classes that would be most helpful for the ministry. And so even the classes that we're doing this semester, although we are teaching Bible classes and we do love the Bible and we do teach quite a few of them. This semester we're teaching Galatians and Ephesians, one of my favorites. But we're also doing other classes like Inductive Bible Study was a good one last semester, but we're doing Bibliology this semester, which is, how we got the Bible, why we can trust it, which is essential because you're going to get attacked on the Bible when you get out and start doing ministry. And people are going to question you, well, how do I know that's trustworthy? And then you're going to be, and you're going to go through and say, well, remember, it's this, this, and this. And you can give them some really simple things to help a doubter's faith, but also to keep your faith strong. We're also going to talk about leadership development, something that I never got, that I'm actually thinking about sitting in the class to be able to develop more leadership. When you want to do ministry, you want to lead something, it's all to you. It's your leadership ability. So if you can take a class that can develop your leadership better, then that's going to help you to make your ministry more effective, which is something that I think that we need a lot more And then, of course, we have self-confrontation, which is, it's in-depth. It's really kind of a radical in-depth discipleship class. You are going to go in depth into your heart, your soul, and into the word, and just mess around with everything that's in there. And so that's going to try and get you in the right place spiritually. These are classes that, again, I wish that I would have had when I was getting trained up in the ministry. So this is what we've tried to do here at Calvary Chapel School of Discipleship, is to get classes that will be really effective, classes that will be able to help people when they're actually doing their own ministry, or when they're doing ministry with someone else even. Things that we wish that we would have had, or that I wish that I would have had when I was coming up. So anyway, we're super excited for this semester. And again, if you guys, for people who maybe will be watching this online, if you guys are going to be doing online classes, we still want to work with you. We want to connect you with people that can help you as you walk through these classes. But for those of you who are here live, we're also excited to have you guys here, because then we can interact. And that's when I think a lot of learning goes on, when people are, wait, what about this? Wait, I thought you said this before. What about that? You know, and you start to question things, you start to make those connections between ideas. That's where things really go deep. So we're excited about that. I had one other thing that I want to say, which just slipped my mind. But that's okay. Oh, then one of the other things that we're going to be doing, so because this is a school of discipleship, we are adding in an aspect of discipleship. And so we're going to have all of our students be meeting with, depending upon their schedule and depending upon your guys' schedule, we're going to have a couple that's going to be working with the students to help walk them through the classes and help them see, okay, you're learning this, how's that going? How are you feeling about this? Are you understanding it? What can we help you with? And then how can this help you in the future? How can this help you in your ministry? So we want to try to get someone that can walk alongside of everybody in order to point them in a direction and aid them in their ministry. And I think that's something that's a little bit different than most of the schools, because a lot of schools, it's just academic. And we don't want this to be just an academic exercise. Although it is academic, it's not only academic. We want to make sure that we have that discipleship aspect to come alongside everybody and to help point them in the right direction. And maybe even, point out some areas. Hey, maybe you need to think about this. Hey, maybe this is this. And maybe even confront you on some issues, but hopefully walk alongside you and encourage you and spur you on to greater ministry as well. So that's something that I'm really excited about, is that's going to be starting this semester. We didn't have that last semester. We were working on that idea. And so all you guys are going to have opportunity to do that. And again, it's going to be based upon your schedule. So we're not going to force that upon you if your schedule is just overflowing with things, but we're going to give you the opportunity to have someone walk alongside of you, which I think is going to be great. Okay. So again, we're looking forward to this semester. Looking forward to helping you guys in whatever way we can. We want you guys to know that we're here for you guys. So if you have any questions, you guys can always write us or email us or call us or come talk to us at church, whatever it is. I know some people are like, oh, I'm sorry to bother you. I'm sorry to bother you. I'm like, no, this is our job. This is what we love. We want you to come bother us. We want you to come talk to us. So, yeah. So again,
I'm going to look, but in case it's not obvious, is there anything that we need to prep for before the first class next week?
I don't think there's anything we need for the first class. I think you guys, you come.
Except to purchase the books.
Yeah, you can get the books, but even depends on the class. Like, you're not going to need a book for some of the classes. Like Galatians, Ephesians, you're just going to bring the Bible. So, but like for self-confrontation, you're going to need the book. So it depends on the class that you're taking. Bibliology won't need a book. I don't know, leadership development, they need a book. Yeah, you're going to need to get the book for leadership development. So that's important for us to know. So yeah, you will need that. And then we'll go through the syllabus for each class and talk about what the requirements will be for that class on the first day of class. And hopefully we can answer any questions if there's anyone, wait, what about this? Where do I find that? We'll point you in the right direction, and then we'll get things moving. Anything else? And I know there's some people watching online. I wish we could get your guys' questions, but you guys can write us or contact us with the app after this, and we will be more than willing to answer any questions you guys have. All right, we good? All right, let me pray for our time here and pray for our upcoming semester, and then we'll end our time as our orientation. Father, we thank you for the students that are here and even the students who maybe haven't even enrolled yet, who are going to be a part of this. We know that sometimes people are full of things going on and they forget to register, or maybe they're not even thinking about it, but now you're going to provoke them and get them involved. We ask that you would work in everyone, you would draw in those students, and that you would prepare everyone's heart to come in with an open heart to learn and to grow closer to you and be equipped for the ministry. And we understand that sometimes it's hard, sometimes there's a lot of work, sometimes there's some stress, sometimes there is just confrontation in our own lives at looking at sin and trying to work through issues that we have. We ask that you would guide us all in those processes, that we'd be able to do these things in a godly way, that we'd be able to follow the power of your Holy Spirit, and that we would allow your will to be done here in everyone's lives at Calvary Chapel School of Discipleship. So please raise up more leaders, raise up more workers for your ministry. You've said that the harvest is white, it's ready. We just need more harvesters, we need more workers. And so we pray that you would raise up more workers for the harvest, that we would be able to go on out and reach the people in the cities where we're living. So please do something special and work in the local churches that will be participating in this. Strengthen them and help them to grow. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.